Hey everybody, this is Dream, and today we have a 5-game slate for the NBA on DraftKings and FanDuel. It's a pretty small slate, but we have a ton of injuries to take a look at here. So let's get in the injury report. Before I do that, can you guys smash that like and subscribe button? Really helps the channel a lot. Let's go ahead and look at the Utah Jazz. Conley, Olenek, and Sexton are all questionable. Obviously, if those guys are ruled out, that's definitely going to play into how this slate might end up. For the Heat, Lowry and Martinez, both questionable. Another situation where they could really influence some guys into our lineups. For the Warriors, Curry and Wiggins are out, and DiVincenzo is doubtful. For the Knicks, Toppin is out. For the Wizards, Hakamara and Wright are out. For the Suns, Booker, Okogie, Landale are all questionable. Payne is out, and then Cam Johnson's out. Obviously, if Booker is out or Okogie is out, that will definitely influence potential lineup situations. And then for the Nuggets, Porter Jr. is doubtful, Murray's questionable, Pope is questionable, and Jeff Green is questionable. So a lot of guys there as well who could really influence how our lineups are potentially made. Excuse me. So let's go ahead and get into the players I do like here. As of now, with the injury situation as we see it, so I have two guys here in my lineup right now, which is Jaden Ivey for Pistons. He's been playing pretty solid lately. He is starting to look better and better as he's progressed. He had a little bit of a slip, but with Cunningham out, he's getting plenty of minutes and a lot of shot opportunities. I think he's a pretty solid play today. A little bit underpriced, basically, for what his potential is in this matchup, and it's one of the few games that has some nice upside to it. Same goes for Jalen Duren. He's been playing really well the last few games. As you can see, his price point is, come up some, but he still had some really good games since he started starting, and he's getting around 30 minutes a game, so I expect him to continue that and to have a good game here against Utah. Then we're going to look at Jordan Poole. Now, his price point is a little bit overpriced for what he's capable of, but he's, from a pure scoring perspective, he definitely has upside in this matchup against the Knicks. He should be really set, especially with all the injuries to the Warriors. He's going to get all the minutes he can handle, all the shots he can handle, and if he can get some peripheral stats, he'll definitely pay off here. Then Jalen Brunson here for the Knicks. He looks really solid today. He's been playing really well the last few games. He's had a couple off games lately, but overall he's playing well, and he's a little bit cheap compared to what he was early in the season. He's had some ups and downs all season long, but it's a good matchup for him with the Warriors kind of in disarray. He's going to have some opportunity here. Then we'll look at Klay Thompson, who is probable today, but he should play unless something crazy happens, I guess. His price point's a little bit too cheap for what his potential is. He's been very up and down, obviously, and streaky this season, but he's been playing well lately, and as long as he gets full complement of minutes, then he'll be good to go here against the Knicks. Then we'll look at DeMar DeRozan for Chicago. He's been pretty solid lately. He's had a couple off games, but his price is still a little bit too cheap for what his potential is. And typically, most games, he plays really solid. Obviously, this is a tough matchup against Miami because they're a slow-down team, so that is a little bit of concern. But overall, he's pretty solid and safe for the most part, and so I do like him here in this matchup. Pat Williams also looks interesting for Chicago. He hasn't been, somebody that's been scoring, 35 fantasy points at his price, but he does get you around 20 each game, and as long as he can do that in 30 or so minutes today, then he'll be somebody to pay off for us here as a good value play. I do suspect more value will open up as we get more information on injuries, though, but right now he looks like a decent, solid shot if you're just desperate to save some money. Then Zach LaVine, now he's been all over the place lately, had some good games and bad games, but he does have massive potential, and in this matchup, him and DeRozan will need to go pretty hard for the Bulls to stay in the game, so I expect him to play well in this particular game as well. Then we're going to look at Julius Randle, who he was very close to being a must-play today. His price point, though, has just come up a lot lately, and so that's a little bit concerning, but overall, he's just been super solid lately, and he's been playing really well, getting lots of rebounds and points, and I expect that to continue here against the Warriors, who don't have anybody that can stop him. Also going to look at Steven Adams here from Memphis. He's been playing really solid lately. His floor is kind of low because of his minutes, but his ceiling is pretty high because he's capable of having big games occasionally, and he can get double doubles. And if he can do that here, he'll definitely pay off relatively easily. And then Jokic for the Nuggets, he's just in a really good spot here against the Grizzlies. He's been absolutely dominating the last 5 games. As you can see, he's got 3 games in the last 5 where he's had over 80 fantasy points. If he can continue this and get another triple-double, I mean, he had 27 rebounds last time out against Charlotte. Obviously, Charlotte's relatively easy to do that against, but he should be able to continue being a dominant force and scoring a ton of points and stuff like that and getting other peripheral stats as well. He's just been playing extremely well, and I look for that to continue. So let's go ahead and get over to FanDuel. So we're going to start with Jordan Poole over here. Now, Poole is a little bit expensive, but he's been playing well. Especially with all the injuries. He's going to have all the minutes he can handle, and he'll have the opportunity to get to 50 fantasy points in this game, assuming that they can stay close in it. Then we'll look at DeMar DeRozan, who's just been really solid most of the season long. Obviously, he's had a couple off games, but not too many, and he's relatively safe. The only real issue here is the matchup against Miami, who's a very slow-down team, but most of the games today seem like they're kind of a faster team versus a slow team, with the exception of Utah and Detroit. So I expect this game to be I don't expect paying up for guys that are on these slow games is really going to hurt you as much as it normally would. Same with Zach LaVine. He's been playing pretty solid, but he's a little bit inconsistent lately, but he should get plenty of opportunity in this one. Then we'll look at Klay Thompson, who's an interesting spot here with all the injuries to the Warriors. He definitely has big-time upside, but he's been very inconsistent all season. But he's definitely viable on the slate. Bojan Bogdanovic actually looks pretty interesting here on FanDuel. He's been playing pretty solid lately, pretty consistent for the most part. He's had some injury situations which have slowed him down a little bit, but that's also kept his price down and makes him a viable play on the slate. Julius Randle may be my favorite play here on FanDuel because of the way he's been playing lately. His price has come up some, but he's still viable just simply because of a pure scoring ability on the slate. Kyle Kuzma also looks kind of interesting here on FanDuel. Didn't really like him so much on DraftKings, but he's been playing pretty solid for the most part. He's had some up and down games, but Beal is back, so that could hurt him a little bit, but he's still getting a full complement of minutes due to all the injuries to the team. And then also Joker for the Nuggets. He's been playing really solid the last 5 games. In fact, he's really just been playing solid for a while. Obviously, his price is insane here on FanDuel at $12,500, but he's had 88, 81, and 78 in 3 of the last 4 games. That's absolutely insane, and obviously he would be able to pay off. He's got to get 62.5 fantasy points to 5x here, so he's more than capable of doing it. Obviously, it's a little bit of risk as well, but on a smaller slate with a ton of injuries, assuming that some of those injuries open up some value plays, he could be fairly viable to utilize. With that said, let's get into the picks that I have for the games. So I have the Jazz over the Pistons, the Heat over the Bulls, the Knicks over the Warriors, the Suns over the Wizards, the Nuggets over the Grizzlies. With that said, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Hopefully we'll get more information about the injury report as we get closer to the slate. Make sure to check out the Discord link in the description. We have live updates of the injury report, so keep that in mind. And thank you again for liking, commenting, and subscribing, and have a nice day, guys.